Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. I strongly support this practical motion calling for funding of a People's Power Plan to accelerate the electrification of households. We are facing twin challenges of emissions that urgently need to come down and households with high power costs. So this motion tackles both. Firstly, let's acknowledge the climate crisis we are in. 2023 was a year of record temperatures, and so far in 2024, the temperatures just keep rising. Earlier this year was the hottest January on record in the world's oceans. Secondly, households faced a cost of living crisis with high energy prices driven by ageing coal-fired power and expensive gas. The recent ACOSS Heat Survey report indicates that over 1.8 million low-income homes can't afford the electricity to cool or warm their homes, putting them even more at risk of the health impacts of climate change. So First Nations respondents were even more likely to be struggling to pay for essentials such as energy and other bills. It is a frustration of renting not being able to take greater control of power via rooftop solar. Renters need better visibility on the energy efficiencies of rental premises. And it's the same goes for small businesses who are often also renters. They are incredibly frustrated. In particular, the government's legislation allowing small businesses to instant asset write-offs and energy incentives to decarbonise has now stalled for months, and yet it is due to end, even though it has not even taken effect yet, at the end of this financial year. It's ridiculous, and I call on the government to urgently extend that. So I echo the calls of the member for Wentworth for the government to implement policies that incentivise landlords and provide rebates to low-income households to install rooftop PV and batteries. Australia is the continent with the most abundant solar and wind. We must make sure that all Australians can take advantage of that bountiful supply that we have and take advantage of it. So we need to go faster to tackle climate change and emissions reductions. We need to reduce by a minimum emissions by 75% by 2035 to keep any chance of warming in check. We need an equitable, long-term approach. We can't leave behind huge sections of our community, in particular renters and low-income households. And we need measures to incentivise landlords, home builders and people in regional and rural communities to decarbonise. Decoupling energy from fossil fuels will deliver savings and provide Australians with energy independence and protect from inflationary pressures. This is a no-brainer. For helping households decarbonise, we reduce the average power bill from some $1,100 to $1,800 a year with rooftop solar, and by around $500 to $1,600 a year with more efficient electrical appliances, and by even more with insulation and improved energy efficiencies. And yet we hear nothing from the government around improved building standards or mandatory codes. Even the social housing and the HAF bill was silent on ensuring that there be coupling of measures to ensure energy efficiency. So this is it's a cost of living issue, but it is a health issue ultimately, as we are witnessing more and more extreme weather events and more frequently. And we know heat will bring health risks, and that all adds more pressure to the system. So it is a no-brainer for the government to come in this budget in May and increase its support to Household Energy Upgrades Fund and deliver an electrification of households program, a People's Power Plan. We can be ambitious. The government needs to do. Things like interest-free loans can offer a low-cost way to encourage homeowners and landlords to immediately access savings from rooftop solar and accelerate emissions reduction. We need a small-scale renewable energy scheme. It was slated to end in 2030. It needs to be extended. It directly supports consumers to use renewable energy to lower their bills. Thirdly, by pursuing small renewable energy and battery projects specifically excluded from being eligible currently to receive support from the Capacity Investment Scheme, this should be looked at as well. We know we need some 15 gigawatts of storage by 2030. This can be achieved by around 30% of households that have solar to take up batteries as well. Where is the government plan to deliver that? In Warringah, we have success stories from Colourmaker to Free TV. We have Zero Emissions Sydney North and Solar Alliance, all working hard, electrifying our households and small businesses. But the government absolutely must do more.
And I thank